So let's now continue with part 2 in our overview of the Java Reactive Streams API. In this part of the lesson, we're going to talk about the key abstractions, which we've already given an overview on: publisher, subscriber, subscription, and so on. But we're going to focus here more on their interactions between those various elements. So a flow in the Flow API involves interactions between 3 key abstractions: the publisher, the subscriber, and a subscription. As we've discussed before, publishers are event sources that can produce 0 or more events that can be pushed to subscribers. And keep in mind, of course, in an actual use case, you'll often have multiple elements between the originating publisher, the source, and the terminating subscriber, the sink. And the things that go between those would, of course, be processors, because they're both publishers and subscribers. I'm showing a very simplified view here that just shows one publisher talking to one subscriber, but there could be more in a pipeline without loss of generality. Subscribers, of course, are sinks that register for and consume events that are pushed to them by publishers. And the way this works is expressed here through these hook method regular expressions, or regular expression that I show here, which basically says that a publisher can push 0 or more, where more could be infinite, events to a subscriber using the onNext hook method. And it could optionally be followed either by one onError hook method or one onComplete hook method. But it doesn't have to do either of those. So when you read this thing, you can see very quickly that there might be no events at all. There could be an infinite number of events, or there could be some non-infinite number of events, optionally followed by onError or onComplete. So that describes the semantics of the interaction from publisher to subscriber. The subscription is used to control the flow of events between a subscriber and a publisher. And as you can see here, the way this works, and we'll see this in more detail in a second, when the subscriber subscribes with a publisher, the publisher calls its onSubscribe hook method back, and that will pass a subscription, and the subscriber can use that subscription to indicate how many events it wants to receive before the publisher needs to wait until the subscriber tells it to send the next chunk of events, next tranche of events, or group of events, whatever you want to call it. So you can either have it send an infinite number of events as quickly as possible, in which case there is really no back pressure or flow control, or you can use the subscription in order to be able to indicate how much to send in one fell swoop. And you can also cancel subscriptions using the cancel method on the subscription. So the subscriber will subscribe to the publisher, which says, hey, start sending me data. And the thing to remember here is the reactive streams semantics are that a stream is lazy and only starts processing when subscribe is called by a subscriber. Up until that point, nothing happens. Very common mistake to forget to call subscribe, and then nothing will happen. It's kind of like in Java streams when you forget to call a terminal operation. Nothing happens. The onSubscribe hook method is then called back, passing in the subscription, and then that can be used by the subscriber, if it wants to inform the publisher of how many events to send it. And no events are sent by a publisher until the demand is signaled via this method. And there's various defaults where it'll send it saying, send me, basically max number of values, which means there is no bound, and it'll just have the publisher blast out the data at whatever rate it is willing and able to do. And the subscriber in that case is obliged to try to keep up. And we'll talk about what it means to keep up and what happens if a subscriber can't keep up very shortly. Now, as we talked about before in our regular expression, there can be 0 or more calls to the onNext hook method, which essentially notify the subscriber that there's events coming in. And this stream of onNext notifications is what constitutes the stream or the flow between publishers and subscribers. If all goes well and we don't have an infinite stream, then the publisher will typically invoke the onComplete method when all the events it's aware of have been sent successfully. And that basically like the end of file marker in a file in Unix or Mac or Windows. And if something goes wrong and the publisher can't continue, then it'll call the on error hook method, passing in the corresponding throwable to inform to the subscriber what has gone awry. And then the subscriber should do something with that. So that's the end of part 2 of our discussion of the Java Reactive Streams API. So at this point, you should have a pretty good understanding of the key elements, which are publishers, subscribers, processors, and subscriptions, and then how those things interact by hook methods that are called back at various points in order to convey either subscription information or the request size or cancellation requests, or to be able to be the hook methods flowing from publishers to subscribers, providing the events of interest to the subscribers that they have subscribed to.